Welcome back to Here's the Takeaway podcast. I'm your host, Kim Bindle, and I am so excited to introduce to you today's guest. She has a huge heart for kids. From Fort Wayne's Big Brothers, Big Sisters, help me welcome Anne Casteen. Hi.
Hello.
Yay, I'm glad you're here.
Thanks. Really happy to be here.
So talk about the role that you have with Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
So my title is Director of Development. My team is responsible for recruiting volunteers, helping secure corporate partnerships, and helping with fundraising.
And what that looks like, because she came to WBCL a couple weeks ago during her staff meeting, and she and her wonderful partner in crime, Bailey Rowe, basically can come into your business or organization and basically share about Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and why it's so important. Let's talk about that. I mean, like, why did this even begin in the first place? What was the need? What was seen that wasn't being met in terms of a need in our community?
So back in 1972, local businessman Don Wolf of Do It Best, formerly Hardware Wholesalers, attended a presentation in Muncie, Indiana, where they talked about Big Brothers. At the time, it was just Big Brothers. And so he rallied some local businessmen, and they brought Big Brothers to Fort Wayne. There was also then a separate Big Sisters organization, and then in like 1974, 75, they merged together and became Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Fort Wayne. We've now grown where we serve 10 counties in northern Indiana and 2 in southern Michigan. So we cover a large territory.
Okay, and so when we're talking about Big Brothers, Big Sisters, you know, for someone who doesn't know, like, what are we talking about? Is this like an all-day commitment? What are we trying to do as far as that connect point with that kiddo?
So what we do is we foster and support one-to-one mentoring relationships. So that can look a couple different ways. We have our community-based program, which is kind of what people think of when they think of a big brother, little brother. They're matched based on common interest, and they go and do things out in the community, things that they like to do based on their schedule. And then we have our school buddy program, which is where a volunteer is matched with a child in from the age, like kindergarten age up to 5th grade. And those volunteers go and spend 30 minutes. We say an hour, but kids don't have a lunch hour. They have about 30 minutes, 40 at the most. And they go and spend time with the child during the lunch hour just once a week. That 30 minutes makes a huge difference. The fact that an adult commits to showing up, and they do, and it's a big self-esteem builder for the kids. It increases their attendance. And it's just a great way to get involved, especially for business people or for folks that have growing families and they're busy on the weekend. It's a way just to, you know, take that quick break over the lunch hour during the work week and make a huge difference.
Now, I know someone listening right now is going 30 minutes because I don't know, there's sometimes I'm like this and maybe you're like this too, where it's like an all or nothing thing. But what is the difference that's made in that 30 minutes a week?
The child feels so special. They get that one-on-one attention. The kids that are in that program are usually typically referred by guidance counselors, identified as maybe a child that's been bullied or just needs some extra attention. Maybe something's going on at home. You know, a lot of the kids in our program, they come from single-parent homes. A lot of our kids are also from 2-parent homes, but maybe the parents are working a lot of hours, or they may come from a multifamily household that is busy and chaotic, and they can really benefit from somebody just spending time with them one-on-one. And the School Buddy program, they can play games, do puzzles. It's really whatever the big and the little enjoy doing together. And I always say that our enrollment department does such a good job of interviewing our potential volunteers and finding out what they enjoy, what they like, what their personality's like. And then when it comes to the matching process, there's a lot of science, there's, a little bit of magic, and there's a lot of divine intervention, because it's amazing what we find that the big and littles have in common. So for instance, my school buddy, she likes to play Barbies. I was a Barbie girl.
Yes.
And, when as an adult do you get the chance in the middle of the workday to go and, dress some Barbies and play? But we have men that build Legos,
right,
shoot baskets. It's just really whatever the two enjoy spending, time doing together.
And so you are working on getting folks to volunteer, and I'm sure there's always a need. So you said we talked about the once a week thing, and then what was the other?
Our community-based BIGS is where a volunteer is matched with a child, and then they spend time whenever they, have time available on the weekend, grabbing a quick bite during, an evening weekday. We have a lot of organized match activities because we like our bigs to spend time, not money. And those activities happen at our agency. We have everything. Cupcakes and Canvas is a really popular one. But we have a lot of outdoor activities as well. Silly things like kickball, but we have a Conservation Buddies program, which is especially great for our male volunteers. To kind of get the kids out and teach them about nature, whether it's fishing or this past winter, they built boxes for wood ducks at one activity.
Okay.
And then another activity, they went out and actually installed those duck boxes, those wood duck boxes.
So you've got those two levels. And then you've mentioned before it's men reading to...
So we have a program called Real Men Read.
Okay.
And that is where we have men just 5 times throughout the school year go in and read like a picture book to 2nd and 3rd graders.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we're in about almost 300 classrooms for that.
Okay.
And all the men that do it really are very passionate about it. But we always do need readers because sometimes our volunteers retire and move away, or they have a job change. So right now, I probably, for this year, need about 25 readers.
Okay.
And that kicks off October 16th.
Okay, I'm going to ask because someone's probably asking right now as they're listening, as a woman. So what is the reasoning for going for the men to read? And have you guys thought about maybe, girls, the gals getting in there too?
So this was created really to model a love of reading for kids, a love of reading by men. And we want them to model that, especially for the boys.
Okay.
So that's the key, why we have men. And we have men from all different professions, everything you can think of.
Yes.
So it's wonderful that they see, even if they have a male teacher, of course the teacher's going to like reading.
Right, because they're teaching, right?
But it's, really neat for them to see a police officer, a firefighter, an attorney, a banker, whatever the man does for a living.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I just had to ask for the girls, we had to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So many opportunities to volunteer. So someone's saying, I want to. What is the process?
So they can visit our website, which I'm sure you'll have that info.
Yes.
And apply online. And then we do have an interview process because we want to, first of all, our top priority is safety.
Of course.
So we really kind of vet our volunteers. But also the biggest part of it is we want to make sure that we know you so that we can match you with a child that you will have fun doing things with, spending time together, that you'll be compatible and that there will be longevity in the match. So our matches, they stay open until now the little turns 24.
Oh, wow.
So, and our matches are fully supported by a case manager who does check-ins, who checks in with the parent or guardian, checks in with the child, checks in with the volunteer on a monthly basis. So we make sure everybody, is good. It's, being a productive and enjoyable, meaningful match.
And so with the heart of volunteering, you want to be in this for a while. It's not just like, school year and then we're done. It is creating and being a part of this child's life, kind of like a family member, really, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So with our School Buddy program, we ask for a 1-year commitment. Our School Buddy matches, typically what happens is they will stay matched when the child, hits 5th grade and they go to middle school. They don't want to be having lunch with an adult. They're
too cool.
They're too cool at that point. But a lot of our school buddies at that point, they will say, hey, really have a connection with this child. I don't want to say goodbye. Then they can transition, as long as everybody agrees.
Okay.
They can transition to being a community-based match. And then they see each other whenever they want.
Okay.
But with the School Buddy program, it's just that half hour during lunch. There's no involvement with the child outside of the school day or school year.
Okay.
And yes, we want to create that and foster that, the success of that match. And the reason we keep the matches open so long, we used to keep the matches open until 18, but we want to support those kids through their post-high school career.
Right.
And we, spend a lot of time when they hit 8th grade, they transition to a different case manager who then starts preparing them for that,
that launching.
that day after high school graduation, whether they, enlist, enroll, enter the workforce, whatever it is, we make sure that they have a clear path. And we do that also with our corporate partners. With their help, we have job shadows, job tours, so that they can see what there is in Fort Wayne. We want to, kind of create that brand loyalty that if they do leave and get an education, that they come back and, make a life here in Fort Wayne and join the workforce and raise a family.
Wow. So it's good for everybody. I love that. So talk about some of the success stories. Like, what are some of the sweet, stories of how this has changed so many people's lives?
There are so many. And the great thing about being out in the community is I hear stories all the time. People will say, can I tell you a story? And I love to hear the stories. So I just was at a networking breakfast this morning, and there was a woman at my table who had a little sister when she was just starting out in her career and before she had kids, and was with that little until she graduated from college, and they're still in touch. Probably one of our favorite success stories is Brad Miller, who was from Kendallville and went to Purdue and then played in the NBA. And he was matched with his big brother Dewey when he was very young, and they are still best friends and are, continue to be in each other's lives.
Powerful. Wow.
So, and I did meet somebody recently, and it was actually at the Global Leadership Summit, and I'm really hoping we can connect with this couple. But she told me that her husband was matched when he was 7, and he was in foster care, and he was matched with his big, and 47 years later, he is one of his big brother's caregivers. His big brother has dementia now. So he is, still connected. And we
Just
do
full circle.
complete.
Wow.
Yeah. And we hear those stories frequently. Just there's a powerful connection. And I met somebody at a function yesterday up in Steuben County, and he told me, oh yeah, my sister was she was a big sister, and she brought her little sister to all of our family events. She really became a part of our family. So that's just a testament to the power of the connection.
Just God being in the middle of it.
And it's so important now because we know kids are disconnected.
Right.
I mean, everybody, they recognize even their own kids and grandkids are on devices, and,
Right.
Especially since the pandemic, kids are disconnected,
Right.
and loneliness is a real thing.
Yeah.
So this is just
Powerful.
a super easy way to make a connection in our community and make a difference.
It is. It is. And I hope you'll consider being a volunteer. There's so many different levels. You know, if you want to get your foot wet just a little bit,
Yep,
being
we say the school buddies is a great way to dip your toe in.
Right.
Kind of
See
a
how
low
it's
level
going.
commitment.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
Why did you get into doing this? What is your heartstring to this?
So I have had family that have been involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters so for many years. So I had a connection to the mission, and I was kind of at a point where I had lived away from Fort Wayne for basically all of my adult life.
Okay.
And I moved back to Fort Wayne, and I was in this weird spot where I had moved back to my hometown, but so much had changed. And it's a totally different city than it was when I was growing up. And, but I was still working in a job that I traveled all the time. So I was living here, but I had no connection. And it kind of was just, you know, you have little rumblings of like, this just doesn't feel right. I want to do something. I want to be connected to the community. And this role became available, and it was just perfect timing for me. So it's very fulfilling. I love the mission. I'm very passionate about it. And I was a hesitant, reluctant volunteer.
Seriously?
Before joining
That surprises
the agency.
me.
Well, I think it's very common that people think, I don't know if I don't have any special talents. I don't know if I would be a good big sister.
Would a kid like me?
Would a kid see? Yes.
Right?
Yes. And my biggest regret is that I didn't do it sooner. I wish I would have done it when I first really became aware of the mission. And, you know, somebody told me that, you know, put it very succinctly, that you don't have to be anybody special to be special to somebody. And that really is at the heart of it.
Wow.
You know, it's saying to a child, you're going to show up and you follow through. And that is really what makes a huge difference.
When you think about your relationship with the Lord and doing what you do you think this is your calling?
I think it is at this point in my life. I think, you know, I think everything is predetermined, and I think I had a lot of, you know, experience in other areas, and it all came together.
Just lined up the way it needed to.
My background was always in sales. So, you know, this is, you know, it's a different kind of sale, you know, it's recruiting, but much
loving
more,
on kids in a big way. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. And it's easy to go out and do it because it is, you know, it's all for the kids.
Annie, this has been so great. I've learned so much from what you've shared, because I think, if I'm being honest, and I know maybe some who are listening right now, everyone's a little hesitant, not sure, you know, don't want to let anybody down, not sure if it's going to work out, and, you know, maybe passing it off to somebody else. We don't want to do that, especially from what you've shared about how it's come full circle and it's been so beautiful. For someone who's ready to dip their toe in and go for it, give us the pep talk. Tell us how to connect with you, and what would be your big coach, get in there speech.
So anybody who's interested can visit our website, which is bbsnei.org. And I would say that if you're thinking, I don't know if I could do this, or I don't know if I have time, it doesn't take much time. And we find that our most hesitant and most reluctant volunteers end up being our absolute best volunteers. And this isn't heavy or dark volunteer work. This is really fun. We're a fun agency. Our kids are fun. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, there's supports there. So questions that need to be asked, if you're not sure, they're here to help and get you started. Again, what's the way to connect with you?
So our website is bbbsnei.org. If anybody wants to connect with me and just ask questions, I'm always happy to talk through that. Not, hard sell, but if you have questions about really what it's like, if you want to delve into it a little bit more, I'm happy to talk to anybody.
That is awesome. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks so much, Kim. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.